Good morning, everybody. I'm Mary Che, and I'm the chair of the Committee on Transportation and the Environment. Today is Monday, March 13th, the day before the snow, and the time is now 11:13. We're in room 500 of the John A. Wilson Building at 1350 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest. The Committee on Transportation and the Environment has oversight responsibility for a group of agencies that provide, among other things, transportation services, public infrastructure, construction and support, motor vehicle services, parks and recreation facilities, and that protects the district's environment. Today, the committee meets to conduct its third performance oversight hearing for the agencies under its jurisdiction. The advisory councils and the agencies on today's agenda are the District of Columbia Pedestrian Advisory Council, the District of Columbia Bicycle Advisory Council, and the District Department of Transportation. Today, we will follow the committee's normal practice where witnesses who represent organizations will have 5 minutes for their testimony, and those testifying as individuals will have 3. And now I'd like to call, please, James Biles, Recreation Trails Advisory Committee. Mr. Biles. Lawrence Marcus, Bureau Chief, Transportation Engineering and Operations of Arlington County. I'm sorry? Are you testifying or not? Yes. I'm testifying, right. Okay. Okay, fine, come. And your name is? Santosh. You'll have to spell the last name. Neuapne. Okay. Renee Bowser, ANC 4D02, Commissioner. Tim Ritzert, Neighborhoods United. Mr. Neuapne? Yes, Mr. Neuapne, you're first.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to testify. I will be talking about the street light program for Arlington County. We now live in and also in the interest of time, I will be probably skipping some of the slides which is being made available to you at the moment. We have a fairly large size street light program in the county. Most of the lights are owned either by Dominion Virginia Power, our electrical utility company, or the Arlington County itself. Right now, we live in the kind of midst of the technological transformation in the lighting technology, going from the hypersodium that has existed for the last 4 or 5 decades to the LED technology. So while we, on the onset of the technological changes, we are also talking about the resource management. As street light has been one of the programs that has been severely underfunded. So with that, I will jump to the page number 2. We are right now undertaking streetlight management plan. We have hired on board a consultant as of last year to understand the new technology, how the LEDs have evolved in the last 7 years, even though we started lighting conversion back in 2010.
Do you say you have slides, or you just, as part of your testimony? I see that in your testimony you have slides, but are we putting them up? No, we're not.
Yeah, I understand the laptop was not available.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, we have it in your packet.
Right. Thank you. So by summer of this year, we hope to test the new LED streetlight. We heard in the earlier testimony also about the issues related to the LED technology itself. We are redefining our guiding principle in the Arlington County, that what our lighting program should entail. Safety and accessibility being the number one. Our lights, we like them to be sustainable, compatible with the landscape, smart, maintainable, and obviously cost effective. Once the implementation, we have already experienced major benefits from LEDs. In the power consumption side, we have reduced 80% of power consumption compared to the older technology light. In page number 4, like I mentioned earlier, we started the lighting conversion program back in 2010, and at this point, 85% of our inventory are already converted to LEDs. Again, on this one, while we can talk about the technology, but keeping the lights on, whatever has already been existed, has been very much of our priority. And also in the analysis of different kind of complaints, what we get, we studied the last 3 years of worth of data, and we found out almost 97% of the problems were related just to the light outages or pole knockdown, not necessarily so much to the technology or anything else. We have also analyze the response time on how well we are doing. on Dominion and counties inventory. For a program to run better, we first need to understand exactly what is out there. So we are trying to revisit our GIS inventory to see the accuracy of the data. And as you can see in this slide, 60%, almost 2/3 of the inventory is owned by Dominion and county. Rest is owned by the county. And this ownership is somewhat...
Which slide are you on? Which
I'm
one?
in number 13 right now, or page number
Okay.
7.
Okay.
Sorry. So not only in the macro level, but also in the micro level, our ownership is rather mixed. If you drive on a particular section of Fairfax-Ballston area, the lights are, one light could be owned by Dominion, another light could be owned by county. We are trying to clean up, as you can see in the slide 14, page number 7. As well, on slide number 15, you can see we have a mix of technology. We still have a high-pressure sodium light technology that comes from 1960s, and mercury vapor even earlier than that, and most of the county-owned are LED street lights. So now we have started this re-inventorying our street light lights in the county to understand. So this is right now is very important because last year American Medical Association published a report that made a very controversial claims that LEDs are bad for health and not very good for the nocturnal animals also. We take these things very seriously. We are studying. We have there are many reports that have come since then by different federal agencies and other agencies that we have not necessarily formed our opinion yet, but we are working on that. By the time we finish our streetlight management plan, we'll have a formal opinion. And we are more than happy to work with the DDOT if they choose to do so. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. I do want to ask you, Mr. Neuapne, were you just aware of this hearing, or did someone ask you to come? Because I'm going to have a hearing on streetlights separately, and I don't want to squander your good testimony and maybe have you back, but
the name of
okay.
the person.
And then have you selected an LED standard? I don't know. Were you in the room hearing the testimony of the other?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So these 2,700 kelvins, the 4,000 kelvins, and we have all of your slides, and I'll be looking at them. But what are your thoughts on the different lights and whether we should proceed with one or the other?
In the last 8-9 years that LED streetlight came in the existence industry-wise, most of the lights back in 2008, 2009, they were all geared towards the energy efficiency.
They were all what?
Energy efficiency.
Yes, okay.
So they were very much high. So basically what happens is higher the color temperature, more efficient they are. So back in the 2008-9 time frame, most of the lights offered were 5,500, 5,000, 6,000 Kelvin temperature actually. So right now there is a lot of discussion going on because these LED lights with a higher color temperature are very different than the older technology lights. So there are varying opinion about the public acceptance on the color temperature. So there are some folks who rather prefer to stay with the same color temperature range that they have been used to in the last 4 or 5 decades. But others, they are okay with a higher color temperature. Right now there has been multiple studies. They are more geared towards the safety because most of the time the street lights are for the main safety purposes other than the aesthetics, even though that is part of it. There is a kind of sweet point that seems to be happening around 4,000, 4,100 Kelvin temperature. There was a study done in Seattle last year that yielded that 4,000 Kelvin temperature provides the much better detection than lower color temperature or higher color temperature. So we, like I said, we have not necessarily formed our final opinion, but looks like based on the different benchmarking studies we have done, that might be the direction we might be heading towards. Just for the reference, what we have right now is 5,500.
Have you considered the report of the American Medical Association, and what is your view of that?
Like I mentioned earlier, yes, we take it very seriously. Since that came out in June of 2016, Department of Energy and other agencies have come out with the repudiation on the report, which basically claim not that we are taking any position, but that those reports are not necessarily 100% agreeing with the AMA report. Their claim is that this report does not consider the many different lights that we are exposed to. Basically, DOE published a study that says the one of the main issue in the AMA report was the blue light, how blue light is hazardous to human health. And the one very interesting finding I find is that our nightstand light may have a higher blue content given the longer time exposure than the blue content in the street light. So we need to really weigh in, because the one direction you go versus other, it has a major financial implications to the city or any jurisdictions.
Well, if you would, please, I'd appreciate it. I'm going to ask my office to be in touch with yours to determine the kinds of things that you have already looked at, and the sources that you've turned to educate yourself about this.
We'll be more than happy to.
That would be wonderful. And what I understand, and you can confirm this or not, because this technology has changed over time, it's something like a moving target, so that what we might have been willing to accept 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even a year ago, might not be what we're willing to accept going forward. So I don't know, there's a public policy issue there. We want the benefits of LED lighting, and there are many benefits, right. But we want to get the best product we can get, but it may be like around the corner. Right. So is it your plan in your jurisdiction that if you find something that's much better, you're going to go out and replace what you have? In other words, to go back and do it all over again?
The public reaction has been very different. On our major thoroughfares, where the high-rise buildings are, we have not heard that much of complaints as opposed compared to the poor residential streets.
The residential areas,
exactly right. So that's why, even though what we have seen throughout the country, after the AMA report, some jurisdictions have made a very abrupt reaction to comply with what the AMA report asks. But we do recognize 6,000 plus of our lights are LED already. So we really want to understand the science, what it really says, because the preference issue, we have looked at actually the history of lighting going all the way back to early 1800s when the gas lights were started. Every time technological transformation happens, there has been major uproar. So are we dealing with the really scientific, the fact-based issues, or these are more of the preferences which do change? So if we are making the policy decision based on the preferences, how does that change 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Are we going back and changing that huge inventory and putting the taxpayers millions of dollars on that inventory, where people might be okay, at least with the certain compromise? That's where we are, but we have not necessarily formed the opinion, which we hope to do by this summer.
Okay, and again, I very much appreciate your coming, and I hope you don't mind if we exploit you further. Sure. And my staff will be in touch with you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Todd?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Che. Thank you, everyone, for your testimony today. Commissioner Bowser, I think that you outlined for ANC 4D